We want to take the conversation on health care, Obamacare, health care reform one step further. Maybe you're wondering where we stand today. It's a good question, given all that's going on in Washington, D.C. Republican Congressman Issa is here, along with Democratic Congressman Scott Peters. Gentlemen, first, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. And let me set the table for everybody here at home. This is not going to be a debate. We're not going to try to get you to fight each other. I just want we want to have a conversation and more or less a search for some solutions here. So we'll talk solutions in a second. But first, Congressman Peters, what do you see as the major problems right now with Obamacare?
Well, the immediate problem is there's a lot of uncertainty in the individual markets. So I wasn't around when Obamacare was passed. I think we should not be surprised or embarrassed that it needs adjustments. And one of the issues is in some states, there's nobody covering the individual markets. In our state, we see our rate in the county has gone down from 17% uninsured to 5% uninsured. We still have to worry about premiums, and I think we have to provide some certainty to insurers and to providers about what's going on so that they can keep those premiums down.
Same question, Congressman Issa.
Well, I was there when the Affordable Care Act was passed, and you know the real problem was it didn't have enough choice. It was a bold idea, but it didn't address cost drivers. And you know, I think for all of us on a bipartisan basis, no matter what we have to do to prop up the Affordable Care Act, what we really have to do is, for the first time in a generation, is address the cost drivers. What is causing health care costs to go up? We fix that, we will fix part of the problem of that 12% increase.
I could speak to that. I mean, as a dad, I have 3 kids under the age of 5, and the cost, I mean, we go to the hospital, go to ER, go to urgent care. Who knows? I don't know how much I'm paying for stuff. I just say, oh, I have insurance, I have a copay, maybe something like that. I don't know. You know, you get this bill. I can't read the bill. There are people who study and have degrees in medical billing and coding because it's so complicated, right? Why not make that easier? That's a good point. Let's talk solutions, too, as well. Congressman Peters and Congressman Issa, we'll go one step further there. What do you think?
Sure, I agree. I would just say immediately, let's see if we can stabilize the market. So I'm part of a group called the Problem Solvers Caucus that's come up with some ideas to reduce uncertainty. Namely, there's cost-sharing subsidies that the government pays to keep prices down for people who can't afford it. There's a reinsurance idea that for really high-cost cases, you would provide some backstop for insurance companies so they don't have to raise everybody's premiums to cover that. Let's do some of those things that we can agree on to stabilize the markets, get premiums down. And I agree with Daryl. There's a whole another conversation about what we have to do to lower costs in general.
Cost drivers, Congressman.
Cost drivers.
Just a little bit more. I know you.
Well, in Europe, drugs are typically approved 2 to 3 years, and medical devices ahead of the United States. FDA is too slow and too bureaucratic, and it drives up cost for our bio and pharma industry by billions of dollars often per drug. Defensive medicine. There's no question at all we want doctors to make decisions based on the, if you will, the 99% rule, not a 1% rule where they order an extra MRI or an extra procedure because they don't want to take a chance that
they'll be sued.
They'll be sued.
Right.
We've got to change the culture from what's best for the patient rather than what's safest for the hospital.
Okay. Obamacare passed with the Democrats under President Obama in the House and Senate. And there was little to no Republican support. The attempt to replace Obamacare under now the current Republican administration happening with little to no Democrat support. Now, and this morning, maybe you're reading and hearing, there's a more bipartisan effort for Republicans and Democrats to come together and try to fix it. Why wasn't this part of the conversation in the beginning when Democrats had the power and now Republicans have the power? Who wants to take a stab at that?
Well, I guess I was.
There you go.
I was there.
Yeah.
You know, compromise is not a dirty word, but it sounds like it sometimes.
What you're both saying so far sounds, I think, sensible. Would you agree, people at home? Sensible?
Our challenge is...
I haven't heard anything that was like, that's outrageous. Right.
If your only compromise is within your own party, you're going to get a one-party solution. If you compromise across the aisle, you often get less, but you get something people believe in. You know, people believe Medicare is a good idea, and they believe they pay into it, and if it needs to be fixed, there'll be bipartisan support to fix it. But when you have something that's done by one party, the problem is one party owns it. Currently, the Democratic Party still owns the Affordable Care Act, and that's got to change. We've got to get to where health care is owned by both sides again, and that is going to take coming together. It's going to take probably getting rid of some things that are in the Affordable Care Act that Republicans object to, keeping some things. The good news is we've both managed to realize that the system needs attention, and that attention's only going to happen if both parties agree.
You agree
I'll
with
just
that?
say, well, I sort of agree. I don't think that Democrats own this anymore. I mean, this whole Republican effort to go through repeal and replace, which came crashing down, was something done without Democratic support. We were interested in working on it. That's really our goal. And these premiums are about to go up because we haven't accomplished anything in the last 6 months. But I would say, that
premiums have been going up before the last 6 months, right?
No, but I would just
they went up 13%
but they've slowed
last year for people in California on Obamacare, so they've been going up.
Slowed
and some
quite a
places
bit.
Triple digits.
Slowed quite a bit from before. But I'm saying that that's on us to work on now. And so now that we're through this one-party attempt to repeal and replace, let's get to work
on that then. So I asked our viewers on Facebook if they could ask the two of you anything, and the one I got from multiple was for you, Congressman Issa, and it was the Republican Party has had 7 years to come up with something, a plan, and haven't been able to do that. Even right now, publicly fighting and backbiting and all that stuff. Why? Why is there no plan after all the 7 years?
You know, that's a great talking point, but it just isn't true. The problem is that they've come up with a lot of plans. There are those who would repeal, period. There are those who realize that, for example, dealing with pre-existing conditions and portability, which was a Republican idea before it was in Obamacare, we might need to change
it across state lines for everybody
we might
there,
need
because
to change
that could bring costs down, more competition
So,
and more options.
You know, yes, there's a right and a left wing of the Republican Party, and each has some different ideas. I don't think we suffer from too few ideas. I don't think the Democratic Party suffers from too few ideas. What we suffer from is an ability to come together for the greater good in either party, and this is where his point is right. 100% repeal was never there, because there were things that we would want to preserve from the Affordable Care Act. How do we get to compromise? You know, look, the president's right on one thing. People need to continue talking. They need to continue expressing ideas. You know, I'm like a broken record. I keep saying, well, at a minimum, every American should have the ability to get into the Federal Employee Health Benefit Plan programs, to buy their way in, employers and individuals, which was something I proposed back when the bill was being passed, that more choice certainly should be something we can all agree on.
Here's the last question, and this was kind of a retake from a debate question that happened, and that is, can you, as a Democrat, say something nice about either a Republican Party or Congressman Issa? And Congressman Issa, can you say something nice about the Democrats and Congressman Peters? I remember that came up in a debate, and it struck me. I thought, now that's great. That's awesome. What do you got? You guys both look like somebody just...
I would say Daryl's smart, understands the innovation economy, and is looking for ways to work together, and I think that's all you can ask for in a colleague.
Right on. Congressman?
I'll go even beyond that. You know, Scott and I have worked together on legislation, but we have a pretty neat delegation with Scott, Juan, Duncan, and Susan, that where we're able to work together for national issues, but we're also able to work together for San Diego issues. I think we have that going for us. The chemistry is good.
Okay.